on the telephone, the Vice President of Baseball Operations for the LA Dodgers, Alex Anthopoulos. AA, how are you?
Oh, doing well.
Good. Congratulations on the club's victory over the Diamondbacks, sweeping them away. I want to get to, really, I'm going to turn back the clock a little bit here. This was a team that looked like a juggernaut on its way maybe to the best season in the history of baseball, and then all of a sudden that 16 or whatever it was, 17-game thing happened. What was it? Have you, and as you were going through it, were you able to dissect that this was even happening, or was it just so stunning to you?
You know what? It was surprising, but I remember, you talk through these things, and look, I've been in baseball long enough that I've been through 10-game losing streaks and 5. But like you said, I think the number was 16 of 17 games we had lost, and
right.
We played San Diego. They beat us 3 out of 4. And we just, I think we were looking at it so many ways. The biggest thing was offensively, we just had a lot of guys get cold. We had some guys that were hurt, and we didn't swing the bats. Certainly along the way, we didn't get some good performances from our rotation and the occasional bullpen game that didn't go that well. But I'd say all in all, collectively, just offensively, if you look at our runs per game over that stretch, that was really the key thing. And you get all kinds of people that would ask you, what's wrong? What do you think it is? And we're never really that concerned because you started going through the lineup and you felt good about who we had behind the plate, at first base, around the diamond, in the outfield. I mean, it was a good collection of position players that kind of all got cold at the same time. So we weren't overly concerned. And the other component was, I remember saying this at the time as well, we were stuck on 92 wins, I think, at the time. And I remember just saying, look, it kind of softens the blow a little bit when you've already got that win total and you have that much time left and you're going through this. So we felt pretty confident that it would turn.
Yeah, but speaking of confidence, you know this is a game of confidence. And you know that when players go cold, they lose some of that confidence. And this was, from the outside looking in, not only a confident team as of September 1st, but almost an arrogantly confident team. And I don't mean that disrespectfully. I mean, they were so good and playing so well. It was almost historic. And now all of a sudden, this collapse or apparent collapse happens. You've got to be concerned that even if when they get out of it, a little bit of that arrogance and confidence, which you think is good, they might not be able to recover that. Did they?
No doubt. I mean, and those are things that you talk about internally. When you go through something like that, like you said, we're rolling, we're winning pretty much every series. I remember we had, when this just started, this slide, we had lost our first series to the Milwaukee Brewers, 2 out of 3. And I remember how odd it felt. And again, it's not to sound arrogant, but we had just been playing so well for so long. It was a weird feeling. It had been a while since we had lost the series. And you just, it's a series that happens. And then, boom, we go on that slide. But look, there's no question when you lose that number of games and you go on that type of slide, you start thinking, is your confidence shattered? Does doubt start to creep in? I think the flip side of that is, you're looking for the positive. Hey, maybe this is a good thing. Not that it was an arrogant team or anything like that, but, it's a wake-up. It's the humility, how quickly things can go. I mean, especially going into the series with Arizona. We had lost our last 6 in a row to them. So, and they're a very good team. And it just goes to show you how quickly things can change. And obviously, we're thrilled we're able to get out of the series and win 3 in a row and, worry about who we're going to play next.
The hardest thing to do when you've got a team with a record like you guys had up to, the end of July and into August was, should we make changes? Should we not make changes? Should we add? Because we got a pretty good thing going here. Well, you made the decision to add. You added Yu Darvish, and then a little later in August added Curtis Granderson. And neither move, at least in the short term, was working very well. Now, Yu Darvish goes out last night, pitches brilliantly, and now it looks as though you've got what you thought you were getting. But when you made those moves and things weren't going well, did you wonder if maybe you tinkered with chemistry too much, or was that ever a concern for you?
No, just because, one, bringing in Darvish into the rotation, we had needs, with guys being hurt. And look, beyond that, obviously, his career track record speaks for itself. And like you said, his first few outings with us, maybe his first 3 or 4, were very good to solid. Then he missed a little bit of time, and then he was up and down. But like you said, you have a game last night in a really tough ballpark. It was a tough lineup as well. A lot of expectations for him. And for him to come through like that was tremendous, especially in that park. And a guy like Granderson, he's someone that, again, he's probably known as one of the best clubhouse guys in the game, willing to do whatever you ask, willing to accept any role. So we weren't concerned about that at all. We had some spots there. We had some guys that weren't performing in the outfield, and we thought there'd be some upside for playing time. And Granderson was a guy that was performing exceptionally well since the beginning of May. So, we didn't have any regrets at all. We were actually thrilled with the acquisitions of guys like Tony Cingrani and Tony Watson as well, what they did to our bullpen and the ad. And guys like Brandon Morrow have stepped up tremendously to pitch the eighth inning for us. So we've had a lot of things break right, no doubt about it.
Clayton Kershaw is such an interesting story. He is almost everybody would concede, I certainly would, that he's the best pitcher in baseball. And yet he has been somewhere between mediocre, uneven, and maybe not good in the postseason as a general rule. And he wasn't great in the win. I guess it was 9-5, gave up 4 home runs in the Arizona series. Does it concern you? Do you wonder why? Do you have an idea of what it is about postseason baseball that takes at least some of his effectiveness away?
Again, I certainly haven't been in the organization long enough, but I think with Clayton, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer,
yep,
greatest starter on the planet. And but if you look at the track, one of the expectations for him anytime he takes the ball is to dominate, and that's basically a result of just his success that he's had. But if you look at last year in the NLDS against the Washington Nationals, he was outstanding for us, and then he obviously came in relief in Game 5 to clinch. The first outing last year in the CS against the Cubs, he did very well. The last one, not so well. And again, even this last outing against Arizona, he was rolling, and then that last inning, they got him a bit. But I think what happens is the expectations are so high for him. And I remember it was this way with Roy Halladay as well. The minute he may not have a good outing, people would tend to really focus on that, and you would tend to forget those good outings as well. So I think with Clayton, again, it's because he's so dominant, because the expectations are sky high with what he's done. We tend to forget he's had a lot of great moments, great performances.
You will remember, of course, from your days here, living here, growing up in Toronto, that one of the conversations that always comes up with the Maple Leafs is, well, when was the last championship they won? Well, it was 67. Everybody knows. And then that goes round and round and round. With the Dodgers, the last World Series was 1988. How is that storyline? How does that work in LA right now? And how do you guys handle it internally? Because I would think if it becomes a storyline, it starts to build up the closer you get to possibly breaking that.
Yeah, I think that's completely fair. I mean, the minute I got off the plane, the first thing you hear is 1988, 1988,
okay,
everywhere you turn.
Okay.
That's the whole talk. I mean, that's absolutely the talk. Is it's not making the playoffs. It's not winning the division. It's not winning a round. It's getting back and obviously winning the World Series. But there's no question the focus and the expectations here, the talk is it's been since 1988, whereas, look, obviously the history with Toronto, tremendous success in the 80s and the 90s. And then, for that period, it was getting back to the playoffs, and obviously that got accomplished. And I'm sure now the goals have now moved on to getting to the World Series and doing those things. So, look, there's obviously been a lot of success in this organization, 5 years in a row winning the division. But again, the expectation here is winning the division is great, making the playoffs is great. You never minimize that. But beyond that is the World Series is what's talked about all the time, and 1988 is something you hear quite a bit.